Welcome to Front Row Geeks.
Properly? There it goes.
Yep. Check. 1, 2. Hi, everybody. And that's it. That's
Hello.
our podcast. Welcome to FRG, episode 150, guys. A milestone. Well, I mean, it's not really our 150th episode because there were other recordings prior to that some have been lost, some I deleted on accident, and some were never saved in the place where we saved it. So we definitely did more than 150, but in this current run that I have kept track of, it's 150. I'm Eddie, Baron5X, joined by David, Asher, and the lovely, as always, MPX. Okay, we have a lot to go through, so let's do it. Let's go hit the ground running, or like we do in Ghost of Tsushima, doing a roll once you unlock that technique so you don't take damage. Unless you suck at doing that technique like somebody, me, and then you still take damage, even though you spent all that time grinding out that cheat. So the first thing we need to talk about is just a leftover from last week's episode, is the new DLC for that game. I was doing so good for the Outer Worlds DLC, the Peril on Gorgon. Now, have you all played this game at all? Like even the main game? I forget.
I'm waiting for it to drop even further in price.
Not a bad move. We here at FRG endorse Steam sales and all sales like them. Don't give full price. Why? Why would you? There's too many games. Says the guy who buys full price games all the time.
Admittedly, there are certain games that I would definitely recommend full price, but that's very few and far between.
Like Cyberpunk?
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that one later, but I'm talking more stuff like Breath of the Wild, Monster Hunter. Admittedly, like Monster Hunter World, maybe probably get like sales now.
I definitely apologize that we're going to tangent already, but David, are you going to buy Age of Calamity?
The Muso game. I'm debating about it, and I'd like to get the definitive version of Hyrule Warriors, but it's like trying to find a game that's like $80.
Eeks.
Yeah,
Nintendo.
It's like
the only games that don't get cheaper.
I should have gotten it when it was like $40 at Target one time, but I was like, nope, I don't want it at this. And now it's like, damn it, I should have gotten
a collector's item.
Curse you, back to past self. Curse you.
At the same time, I'm finding out that like basically Nintendo's plan is to re-release every Switch game on the every Wii U game on the Switch. So I'm waiting for Xenoblade Chronicles X to come too.
Man, I don't have faith in that. Like, it seems like they're always so picky about what they re-release from a system that's now, 3 years old? 2 years old? I mean, 2 years away, not old. Obviously, a lot older than that.
I hate to break it to you, but they did release something that was a Wii U exclusive just recently.
What did they release?
Pikmin 3.
Yes, okay, I do recall that. So,
Slap.
But it's just that when you compare it to what other companies do, what other publishers, what other developers do, they are really conservative about what they re-release onto current gen consoles.
Well, it's the fact that like technically Nintendo did Xenoblade Chronicles, the definitive edition, which was a Wii classic, and the fact that like Nintendo has Monolith Soft, subsidiary of Nintendo, essentially at this point, is basically said that they are considering bringing X Switch, but they want to do a few other things first for like a new IP out before trying to bring X. But some people are going like, just bring X out first and then work on your personal IP. And I'm just going
almost have to agree with that, only because it's just the demand is there and they're going to make money. Why the holdup?
Yeah, and the fact that, like, I've heard some people did not like Xenoblade Chronicles 1 or 2. When they tried out X, they actually liked X better because they were more okay with the sci-fi crazy shenanigans that X had versus the weird sci-fantasy that Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 had.
Yeah, so there's opportunity there, but...
Yeah.
But not to hang on this point too long.
Let's get back to the original topic of like Outer Worlds.
Yeah, Outer Worlds. So I know we've talked about Outer Worlds before. I played it like last year. It was great. It was fantastic. And I gotta say the DLC brings all the same fantasticness on board. The same. Like, yeah, they have their season pass. I think it costs. I play it through the Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass, and then I had to buy the DLC separately, which is fine. I guess that makes sense. Or maybe it
Let's
doesn't.
see
I don't know. It might be a
here.
conversation for another day. But I
Outer
did. I got it.
Worlds. Yeah, because right now, Outer Worlds, yes, it's 50% off sale, but that's just base game on right now. If I wanted to get essentially everything, aka the base game, Outer Worlds expansion pass, and the soundtrack, it's like $60.
Which is not terrible, but
But the factor is that yeah, like a lot of people, I've heard some weird stuff about Peril of Gorgon where this hearsay, so it's like stuff that I've only heard, is that people didn't actually like the ending of Outer World,
like the original ending or the Peril and Gorgon.
the original ending, because they said it just felt like a bit of a cop out. And the ending in Peril on Gorgon should have been the actual ending from the original game. But
I mean, okay. Again, you two haven't played the game, so I don't know if I should spoil anything or.
Go ahead.
yeah, that's why I'm going like go ahead, because like if I do get it, it's probably like the original ending's already spoiled for me.
Okay. So the then on the original non DLC game, and actually not that the DLC changes it, but in the original game, the ending is basically the Halcyon colony, which is the colony that now exists in this game, that is supposed to be an a colony of Earth. Earth sent out this whole colony to expand in this particular solar system. At the end of the game, we find out that no one has been in contact with Earth for decades, and they've been trying to hide that fact for a while. So at this point, in the way that original ending in the game is that we do not know what happened to Earth. We don't know if they were attacked, destroyed, or we've just been abandoned by them. Though there's evidence on all of those. There's evidence of all of those, that someone might have attacked them, someone has purposely cut us off from them, or they just flat out abandoned us. It could be one or the other. And maybe even, depending on how Obsidian goes with this, they might even make all those three a reality and just based on your choices. For me, and my ending, the specific ending that I got was that because the other part of that was that the solar system as it is now cannot sustain the current population. There isn't enough nutritional resources to sustain the population. So one of the choices my character was that.
So basically, like from your choices, nobody can do any farming. Like nobody knows how to farm or get any nutrition from.
Well, not even that. Yeah, I mean, the last thing your point is the most correct. People are farming like normal and they're eating like normal. It's just there isn't enough nutrition in what they're growing, just because of agricultural science. But the ruling government has kind of kept that on the DL. So people being weak and sick has just been kind of hand waved until you, as the player character, reveal the truth. So in the end, the choice I ended up making was that everybody learns the truth. I tell everybody the truth, and we're going to free a bunch of scientists that are in stasis and try to solve this problem, which leads into a potential sequel. Where the DLC takes us is a kind of an offshoot issue, where again, governing body of the galaxy is trying to hide stuff. But one of the things they're trying to hide is that one of your in-game items that you can use all the time, is a drug called Adrenatime. And that drug is like enhanced abilities, quick time kind of abilities.
Yeah.
AKA enhancement.
Yeah. In-game, that drug was developed to make people more productive, and then you can imagine all the reasons of why that might be wrong in a game that criticizes ultra late-stage capitalism. So the whole plot of that DLC is, what are you going to do about that? Are you going to help recreate the drug, keep the drug secret, stop the drug from being reproduced? There's some scientists involved that are trying to convince you to go one way or the other, blah, 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 family issues. It's kind of a fun story. So the whole point of that being is that the DLC is really good, I think, relative to the rest of the game. That it brings a whole bunch with it. There's a whole much more to do. I think it took me even 10, 15, maybe even 20 hours. I remember how long it took me to do the DLC itself, but it was quite the adventure, and it took a lot of time and a lot of effort, which is kind of what you want from these like really story-driven RPG type of game. Okay, I'm recording.
And the Outer Worlds discussion too.
Yeah. Okay. So, damn it! Hi, everybody. We're doing this again because OBS crashed.
We're doing it live.
Destroyed everything. Eddie.
Technical difficulties
David,
killed the
NPX.
recording.
Yep. Technical difficulties killed the recording. So just like Cyberpunk, we're delayed.
We're delayed a little bit.
Not quite. I mean, we're still sending this out. The only difference is the content's not there. Hopefully that doesn't happen to Cyberpunk 2077, folks.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
let's see. Let's recap what we already talked about. This is the 150th episode, but not really. But it is, but not really. It's more than that. Blah blah blah. Damn it, we had such a good conversation on the Outer Worlds. I'm so upset. Buy the game. It's great. DLC is great. Hopefully Obsidian and Bethesda are friends. Crunchyroll. Hopefully Crunchyroll and Sony get along. Netflix is weird about their net anime and aspect ratios.
Yeah, well,
and now we're
aspect ratios with Crunchyroll, but problems, yeah. Admittedly, I would have preferred expanding about a little bit about each of those, just so it's like not just bullet points, but like we couldn't really do the full conversations again. So it's like,
damn it.
So I'm going to do something a little less. So Outer Worlds, Peril on Gorgon got released. Eddie's played it. He had to redo all of his stuff, but he says it's really good. Some of the things that we did discuss with certain people, the ending in Peril of Gorgon should have been the proper ending that they got. I'm holding off on getting Outer Worlds because, well, I'm waiting for a sale, blah, blah, blah. Crunchyroll, currently, Sony has made a counter offer about $957 million to AT about the purchase. And Sony is actually Japan's television division. Japan, not their games division. Stuff that we also talked about is that, like, the parent company, Otter Incorporated, also since the purchase is only for country, anything under Otter is still going to be owned by Otter, which RV, Rooster Teeth, other such things are still going to be under that. Will still be under that one, but this means that Crunchyroll will now be back in partnership with Funimation. They may also get some decent stuff anime-wise. We talked about how Netflix and how they do stuff in Japan versus how they do stuff in America. What we hope that this deal brings to Crunchyroll, like better servers, upgrades to the apps, and caught up. There, done, good.
Hey, anything more we want to say about Crunchyroll before we move on to?
Now we should probably move on.
Time to move on. Yeah.
Cyberpunk 2077 is delayed.
2077.
It's delayed
again.
So
it's got the best delay, but it's got the best release date. Nobody's going to get that except everybody. December 10th.
Okay, it's like what was it again? Yep, it's a special day for no reason, but it's a special day.
It's just a special day.
So the takeaways from this, I think, are that what was said by the company in their release was that even though the game went
delays.
Well, yeah, they said that before, but
they literally had somebody on the Twitter handle promising somebody that yes, Cyberpunk 2077 will come out on the day it was announced. It's gone gold. Everything's great. Next day, this happens.
Yep. And they gave reasons. They're saying they're trying to, shore up the quality. They have a lot of work to do getting it to work on 9 different platforms. COVID, kind of their slate of reasons why this delay needed to happen, which I think for the most part people get it. There's obviously some vocal people who are vocal about it, but I think FRG's official stance is that it's okay. 3 weeks, we'll play it in 3 weeks later.
Delays happen. You have to just get used to it sometime.
Now we talked a little bit about this off mic, literally off mic now too, considering that we screwed up the recording. One of the things that came out like a day or two later was there was an earnings call with CD Projekt Red and their investors. And this very specific reason they gave for the delay on that call was the Metacritic review.
Wait, what?
Yes, they said that they wanted to make sure that they would get a high Metacritic review. So hence the delay.
Well, I know one thing they've stated since it's been delayed to December. It's no longer going to be up for contention year's Game Award.
Yeah.
Which, man, I think we talked about this off mic too. Yeah, that's going to open up the field for who can be Game of the Year now. Because I thought it was going to be a slam dunk for Cyberpunk.
And the only thing I've seen so far is as long as it's not The Last of Us 2. I've seen so many people go like, please do not put that as the Game of the Year because it does not deserve it. Please note that that's just things that I've seen a lot of.
I have yet to finish the game because just anxiety. So I haven't finished it, but it's going to be a top contender. There's no doubt about that.
Spoilers: everyone dies in the end.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think about like who else you got up, who else do you have there? Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is really good. And I think Ghost of Tsushima after our own playthrough, I think is really up there. That might get it. And then Fall Guys. I guess Fall Guys might be up there.
I don't know about Fall. Admittedly, a come from behind win may come from Among Us, but then again, I'm pretty sure it got released years ago, so it's probably not up for anything like that. Unless
Animal
it's
Crossing,
like, Steam's most improved topic, which always seems to have some interesting contenders. But then again, that's not an official.
Last year?
No, it was released this year.
No, it was
2020. Yep. GameStop was trying to sell it during the pandemic, so that's why I remember that clearly. Animal Crossing.
Animal Team.
Yeah.
So I guess those are contenders, but I mean, for those of you worried about Last of Us Part 2 getting it, I mean, I think you have. I think if you're worried about that, you have every right to be worried because they're definitely going to be up there.
Well, I was always thinking that it should have put on the cover Game of the 20 because it was probably going to get it anyway, or at least some of the awards. So why bother making two different prints of the cover?
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing too, right? Like I like what the Game Awards does and who they are, but I mean they're just another award. I don't think gaming
the Game Awards itself. There's also various other supposed accolades and people to gift out. Such.
I mean, and I think we were just talking about the Game Awards itself before. But assuming we want to give that like the Oscar spot for us, but I don't know, maybe not, maybe it barely earns that spot. But overall, yeah, of course somebody's going to give Game of the Year to Last of Us Part 2. Definitely a lot of the major publishers, for news sites and reviews are definitely going to give it to it. And then from there it'll be a mixed bag who gets it from everybody else. But
But yeah, right now it's set for December 10th, the same day it's released.
Start taking bets how many Cyberpunk 2077 jokes they're going to be at the Game Awards, even if they're not going to win anything. But yeah, so this game is delayed again, and cue the death threats, cue more, stories about crunch, the developers being both justifiably defensive and maybe not sometimes. So, delayed games. What are you going to do?
Let's see here. List, I think. Oh, here's the list of Game of the Year.
Anyway, one of the last things we also talk about from Cyberpunk 2077, get distracted. Is that they were also talking about how this was mainly also working on a day one patch and things like that, essentially.
Yeah. I think they even called it a day zero patch in their announcement.
I thought I read that as day one patch. So
I mean, I think it's tomato. I kind of like the sound of day zero patches, but it's tomato.
It's basically a release day patch. That's what it is.
If effectively you had no power and you had the disc of Cyberpunk 2077, you don't have that patch. So really day zero? Because otherwise it would be included on the disc.
I just like counting from zero because I'm a programmer.
Anyway, moving on. Basically, it's release day patch is what it is.
And this is good for FRG because we'll have more time to finish Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
And if there's extra time, we'll play some random shit in the meantime. So good for us.
Yeah. Anyway,
got a little bit more Sekiro. Moon Knight. Eddie probably knows a little bit more about this than because I knew it was announced, but I just don't.
I'm just sort of surprised because Marvel is owned by Disney, and Oscar Isaac is not too happy, if I remember correctly, his time it's with Star Wars.
Yeah,
I haven't heard that. I mean, I can kind of see it. I mean, I can't comment on that part of it, but
as far as I can tell, none of the stars were happy because, like, Daisy Ridley was sort of annoyed at spending, 5-6 years of her life on Star Wars, about how some of her scenes were cut, about, the ultimate fate of her character in some ways.
I mean, if you ask me, I think, Daisy Ridley and then the gentleman who plays Finn, I can't remember his name right now for some reason, but I think both of them have reasons that I know of to be upset with how things went for them. I mean, I think the movies were a success overall, regardless of your opinion of them, but I think they have very specific and very justifiable reasons to be upset about their time spent on that. I can't say I've heard the same thing about Oscar Isaac. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but
I'm pretty sure it became pretty, at least in a sense, when somebody ended up asking whether he would come back even to voice his character Poe Dameron in sort of side media, whether he would reprise his role. He said no immediately. No question.
I don't believe that.
Now,
I mean, if
admittedly,
he
that
does,
could be
doesn't
to
matter.
his artistic integrity of like, oh, I don't want to revisit my roles, but it didn't sound like that.
That all being said, Marvel under Kevin Feige is a different beast. Like even though they're both under Disney, you can't compare the experiences.
Yeah.
So like that being
I'm
said,
just
I think
thinking that he might have ended up asking a bit bigger for this if they were considering it for him, because certain reassurances that he's not going to get the same treatment that he did with this Lucasfilm.
maybe,
Lucas.
but I don't know. I feel like it's for someone to write off something this with the umbrella size of Disney out loud like that is like why? Like they're actors. They have to. Every job is a new project and a new cut and paste deal. Like it's not even the same people other than
but
executives.
they're also part of certain stables. Effectively, some actors can't work with some, and it's not just simply personal things like that. It's whether the company allows it and such.
Well, we'll have to see if he talks to that. If he does, there might be more we can chew on there. I'd be interested to hear if how much of that. I'd be interested to hear if he tells us about his negotiation process, because that's basically the news that we have now. I don't think anything's 100% yet, but it seems like
as for whether or not Oscar Isaac deserves or is a good fit as a casting choice, I don't know.
I don't know either because I don't know Moon Knight.
Well, what I understand, the movie is effectively a very interesting C-list hero, in that schizophrenic and has, as I understand it, because as you know, certain comic book characters get really warped over time with certain creators and such. So what their initial character was, new lore that was passed on and new things done with that, whether this is a modern interpretation of power set and such, things like that. But he's supposed to be a street level hero with essentially the voices of Captain America, Wolverine, and I want to say Spider-Man, but I might be off on that. Essentially in his head.
I think one of the voices is the Moon Knight persona on top of that. Like I have heard some of his history before, but it's still very new, so I don't have a lot of that cemented. But I was pretty sure one of those was the actual Moon Knight persona. And then, some of those other ones get mixed in sometimes.
Well, I think the idea of Moon Knight originally came from essentially the same era of the Shadow and the Sandman, of the pulpy sort of pre-superhero characters.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Moon Knight actually came from something of a sort of like essentially Egyptian culture or something of that sort, and just decided to fight crime one day. I don't know, but I think his character initially is as archaic as those, but he's been has had a decent following, I think.
Yeah, all I can remember is "Where's my money, Dracula?" That infamous.
I'm gonna look that up. I don't think I've seen that before.
It's literally somebody just took a page from one of the comics of Moon Knight busting down the door to Dracula's castle, going, "Where's my money?"
What?
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
That sounds like a ripoff of somebody else's pretty definitive thing.
No, it's like I sat there go like, because I saw somebody basically just do the whole like MS Paint trace over with
You need to send me that meme so I can post it up when I post the episode.
Yeah, but it's the fact that it's like the first thing I ever saw was basically somebody did an MS Paint over it, and it's Banjo and Kazooie, and it's like, "Where's my Jiggy, Gruntilda?" And I'm like, "The fuck is this?"
Oh, I need to see more of this.
All I can think of is when I hear that when Luke Cage stormed into Castle Doom and asking for his $200, which I know is in fact a comic book page.
It's like, okay, I found a picture. It's literally, this is the only this is what everybody just takes this and then they just paint over it. It's like, I know you're correct.
Yes,
I
love that.
I'm
literally
pretty sure that dialogue is put in there.
That's actual dialogue from the thing.
Yeah, I believe any comic, at least classic comic, would have fucking.
Even if this is a meme, that's a beautiful meme. I'm going to share it when I post up this episode, so you all can find it on our Facebook group or something. I'll find a way to share it with you all.
The main reason why I think that it's a classic comic with the coloring doesn't look like modern comic, so it's just sort of a big sort of nope.
Let's see here. I am doing a weird thing to use the whole know your meme, which tends to be
pretty good.
Tends to be pretty okay. Moon Knight.
Anyway, when David's doing that, let's go to the next topic: Mandalorian Season 2.
Yeah, these next two things will shotgun a little bit because I think I want to get to the third thing that's still left. That might actually be a real conversation. Mandalorian Season 2, the reason we're going to shotgun that is because none of us have seen it. I haven't seen the first episode of the new season yet. I won't probably watch it until tomorrow.
Well, hasn't it? They've already released 2 episodes?
Yeah, I was not under that impression. I only know of 1.
I thought they've had 2 episodes out.
I mean, the premiere was yesterday, so if they did, then they double stuffed it for us. I mean, maybe that's. I'm trying not to look too deep into it because this is the kind of stuff that could easily be spoiled. So I'm haven't looked too directly in that. I just saw posts about people haven't watched it. There was videos of thumbnails about Mandalorian that I skipped over as fast as I could. I won't know until tomorrow, so next week I'll give it a much more in-depth analysis, my take on the start of the new season. Just bringing up that it's out there in case you are in the dark and want to not be in the dark, start looking for Mando. The other thing we can get to real quick that I don't think we need to give too much time to is that EA got fined.
Yeah, in the Czech Republic?
Switzerland.
Wait, Switzerland?
Boy. Yep.
Switzerland
told them a long time ago that the loot boxing that they do is finable by their gaming commission. And then they had to remove it within a certain amount of time. After some litigation and that time passing, the courts in Switzerland ruled that EA has no basis on their defense. So 10 million euros.
Okay.
So there you go.
Well, the story I heard, I think this was the Czech Republic. I'm probably wrong. We're finding EA weekly $500,000 for each game that does not still does not conform, still has loot boxes, etc., etc., etc. In other words, every week they keep on breaking law by selling these games that still contain these practices.
Maybe in the Czech Republic that's still under litigation then, or something.
No, I heard it recently.
Okay,
I
had only heard about
it, of course, but
I know for sure EA had to pay this fine to Switzerland. They were trying to fight it, but they ultimately lost. So just dunking on EA, which we like to do from time to time a little bit. Now, next one is what I think we're gonna have a real convo on because we were talking a little bit off mic as well, and that's the new version of The Witches. Which, that being said, I did not realize there was an old version of The Witches until I was told.
Yeah,
but on HBO Max, I think it was last week actually they released it, but they recently released a new version of The Witches, mostly starring Anne Hathaway and some other characters that I recognize but don't know by name.
You mean actors, not characters?
Yes, sorry, actors. Yes, thank you. But yeah, so movies about witches and witches turning kids into mice because they hate kids and adventure ensues. And I thought it was pretty good. Good. Like if you needed a new Halloween movie, family-friendly movie to add to your Halloween list, The Witches works. I think they did a good job with it. It's just scary enough that it isn't terrifying. It's very it's the right kind of scary for a family-friendly movie. I think not too much, not horror movie, but just not to go.
Well, it depends on how good they did the makeup from the witches. Take off their things, such as their wigs, their fake noses.
They did a good job. Their mouths were very wide.
Are we talking comical ghost wide?
Yes, and opening up in a wide way that is not human at all.
Are we talking bad CGI way or convincing?
I mean, no, it's definitely CGI, but I thought it worked.
Okay.
The mice did a good job too. I mean, again, definitely CGI mice, but
Well, it's a lot easier to animate the mice because it's very easy to say this is a mice, this is a mouse, versus trying to animate, grotesque of the witches. Because in the original one that they released back in the 1990s, they did this with practical stuff. So
you might need to look it up then, because I'm not sure. Because I don't have the old one to reference, and I haven't. All I can tell you is that it's. I mean, anyone can. It's not ugly CGI. I think you can tell it's CGI just because of course, no one can open their mouth that way. But
well, yeah, but
I think it was well done.
Make a prosthetic that can open their mouth that way. The sort.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not impossible. It's just untenable.
They certainly didn't. It was definitely CGI because there was a lot also floating and stuff going on in that movie.
Did they at least keep the fact that the witches do not have a big toe?
Do you know? I don't remember.
That's the sort of detail that can be lost rather easily.
I know they had only weird. 3 fingers. They only had 3 or 4 fingers when they were in witch mode.
Because the only thing I remember from the original movie is that they mentioned that the witches do not have a big toe, which is why they will always wear flat-footed and not anything
Heels?
like heels, because like
I honestly don't remember. Do not remember if that was a big deal.
I don't remember a lot of the original movie from the 1990s because that's when the first movie was. But the factor was that like I only remember the factor that our main character gets turned into a mouse,
Mm-hmm.
and he has to identify who are witches. So the person that told him like various details, like the factor that witches only have 4 fingers, witches do not have a big toe. Of course, they have quotations, giant schnozzes.
Okay, so spoiler warning, so we can talk details. So this might be the last thing we talk about. So if you don't want to hear more spoilers about this movie, you can, thank you. See you next week. Otherwise, so the witches in this movie are pretty much normal. They can have a human in witch form, I guess, for lack of a better term. And the only thing that distinguishes them as witches is they have scars on their mouth, which I think is supposed to indicate that their mouths open super wide. No one ever acknowledges it, but you as a viewer obviously see it.
Yeah, I think that was one of the other things that might be from the book, because it is actually a book written by Roald Dahl. I'm not sure if that was while I was doing my...
No, we mentioned off mic, but that's the first time on mic we mentioned it.
Yeah,
and the fact that Eddie doesn't know the book, so he can't talk about the veracity of whether or not there's a respectable adaptation.
Correct, Amundo.
I only know of the book. I have not read it myself, so
Same.
I'm in the same camp.
One distinction, at least it sounded like a distinction, was that the main character finds out that the witches are in fact witches by like seeing their conference. They were in a conference room and he sees them all do their witchy stuff.
Yeah, I think that's same in the movie and the book.
Okay.
So
yeah, so that's a major scene, which means that they had to have kept that in.
Yep.
Well, they could have changed it. Who knows? I mean, but what did you want to spoil about it? I mean, it is sort of
there was that.
basic...
I guess that plot point. Well, I guess two things. One, that plot point where that's how he discovers the witches, and then he gets his grandma to help. That happens. And then the other one that surprised me at the very end was that they stay rats. They stay as mice.
Yeah.
There's no quote unquote happy ending where they become human again. Their change is permanent.
Well, Eddie, have you read some of the original Roald Dahl books?
Never heard of the author before.
Charlie,
he's the maker of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Ah.
Yeah.
And the BFG.
Big Friendly Giant.
I didn't read that one.
But no, like if you read the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, when Charlie is going off in the glass elevator, all the other ticket winners leaving the factory, and we see like the TV kid stretch to normal size, but he looks super elongated.
Essentially, the cures that they got, not as flattering.
Not perfect.
Yes.
Essentially, they got... You see, it's the factor that there are like at the end of the book, you find out that your actions have consequences, and they will show. So the factor that most of the kids that got turned into mice stay mice is one of those like, hey, yeah, this is something that somebody did to you, not a way. I mean, like if I vaguely recall, they mentioned that they're basically permanently mice for the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm. That is correct. That's how the movie ends.
And so basically his grandmother takes care of him as basically just as a pet mouse.
But they also age like mice too. That's the other thing that like it's like like they might die at the same time. Like, and the kids are like, okay, I guess we're going to not live a human life. Well, it's like shit.
Yeah, Roald Dahl does not. Has some very, very...
Roald Dahl in some ways, I think, tries to emulate Grimm's fairy some ways.
Yeah.
With them not being, everybody gets a happy ending.
Or things
or not a perfect ending.
Where it's like the kids that get, like the kids that screwed up in the chocolate factory. Yeah, they get to live. Oh yeah, the one thing I remember is Ruka and her dad are covered in...
I mean, at least what happened to them was a consequence of their actions. The mice children in the witches, like, they didn't do anything to deserve that. The main character had his parents die in the beginning of the movie. Like shit.
Well, that's the thing, is that like literally Roald Dahl tried to give people like actual like Grimm's fairy tales, more trying to remember the term. Essentially like life lessons, like Aesop fable. Only it was the fact that like there are certain actions other people take that will affect you, and you cannot make those changes back. Like, drunk
Evangelion,
drivers,
you cannot redo.
Well, it's stuff like setting the expectation that, like, if somebody who's drunk driving literally slams their car into your parents, that's a change that somebody else made to you, and you cannot change it back.
I mean, I definitely respect the angle. I mean, there is some. You're right. There is something to not to sugarcoat what's going on, but like I just didn't expect it because it's not usually what you. I don't know. There's a line. Like there are some movies that you can see trying to show you that example. I just didn't see it coming from this movie until it was there, until the movie happened, and like, okay, all the witches are defeated. So when does Grandma make a reverse potion?
Never.
Wait. Why?
When does the spell come undone? When does our main characters get rewarded for their good deeds?
I mean, Grandma gets a chest full of money, so I guess that's a bonus.
But the kids basically are now stuck as mice for the rest of the
and they accept it, which I guess is also a good angle, right? And like it isn't like despair; they accept, that well, this is what it is. Like okay,
yeah. Admittedly, I remember probably one of the stories that Roald Dahl wrote that had like what you typically encounter for a happy ending is probably the BFG.
I'm gonna look that up then because I don't think I've never read or watched a movie based on the BFG. I need to give that.
I mean, technically, there's also James and the Giant Peach.
I love that movie. That's his
work.
That's also
Roald Dahl.
I love that movie.
Yeah, that's Roald Dahl too.
I didn't know that. I love that movie.
So
I'm pretty sure it's on the title.
What did 10-year-old Eddie care about reading the credits?
10-year-old Eddie probably didn't care too much. So 1996. No. The movie just has James and the Giant Peach on there.
Oh.
But it is a Roald Dahl book, and probably the two books that that have like your typical fantastical adventure with children that end in like standard ending would be James and the Giant Peach and BFG, which I believe are BFG. I think Disney did a BFG movie like 2012,
something like that. I remember. Yeah. I can see the cover of it. I just never watched it.
But yeah, I would say that like most of the Roald Dahl movie or adaptions, the ones that a lot of people like, they kind of eschew certain other aspects like the like seeing the after effects of the kids from the leaving the factory. Although I think in the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the one with Gene Wilder, when he's up in, like, you do see a brief shot of the kids leaving the factory, but they're all like normal looking.
Also worth mentioning, in case it wasn't clear, The Witches 2020, not a Disney movie, in case anyone listening thought that was. Not this is actually on HBO Max.
Yeah. I think the original Witches was actually 1990. This one was, sorry about the Jim Henson Productions.
Ah, interesting.
Which technically that means that's why that's weird, because since Disney bought Jim Henson Productions roughly 1990, 2004 ish.
I don't even remember when it happened.
Technically that would have meant that Disney had access to the Witches, but they might have sold off the license, or it just disappeared.
Expired or something.
Yeah, so basically it was Jim Henson. It was distributed by Warner Brothers, but...
Well, then again, the Jim Henson Company was purchased by Disney.
Yeah, or it could be the fact that Jim Henson, the production, but the license was owned by Warner Brothers. So it's one of those situations where it's like, they like Warner Brothers may have reached out to Jim Henson, but Warner Brothers kept the license. This is why HBO did the 2020 version. That isn't HBO owned by...
Yep.
Yeah, it's more likely that Warner Brothers had the license and Jim Henson just the production aspect of it.
Overall, I think it was good. It's a good thing to add to your Halloween collection if you want something that is not horrific, but a little fantastical, but still with a smidge of like, oh god.
That's a little creepy. And wait, is that Ava Ernst, the new High Witch? Yeah, that's creepy as shit.
And that's not even like full mouth open. I can't find a picture with full mouth open.
Yeah.
But I mean, they did a good job. Like, there's nothing, like, for this caliber of movie, there's nothing everything is done well in it. And with that, it's time to wrap it up because we got to stream here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Oh, and they do have one big toe. You're right. They do. I can see it in the picture now. So I guess I just didn't, I knew it, but I don't think I was putting two and two. Okay. With that, any last minute things, everybody?
Fun fact. The 1890 version of Witches, the last film that Jim Henson personally worked on before his death. Sad to say.
R.I.P. I might have to give it a look just for that sake.
Yeah. So you can watch the 1990s version, 2020 version, but do so in the honor of the great artist Jim Henson.
Jimmy boy.
Other than that, I think we're ready.
All right, y'all. Well, stuff, things, and things. Episodes come up on every week. Tuesday, I've been doing pretty good about keeping it to Tuesday, so look for out. You're probably seeing this on a Tuesday. A YouTube version comes out on Thursday. We stream Fridays and Saturdays.
Yep.
We have been
And,
FRG.
FRP. We should have an episode released tomorrow. So,
Yay! What's the subject?
I actually need to re-listen to it. So.
Oh, okay. No worries. Just thought you might give us a preview. Okay, now keeping a lookout for that. I will. All right, everybody. We will speak another time. Or be spoken to another time. Ciao.
This has been a presentation of Front Row Geeks. Adios.